Our opening words this morning were written by Ian Riddle. Come one, come all. Come with your missing pieces and your extra screws. Come with your hard edges and your soft spots. Come with your bowed heads and upright spines. Come, all you flamboyant and drab, verbose and quiet, fidgeting and lethargic. All you with large vision and tender hearts. All you with small courage and tender fears. Bring your lisp and your stutter and your song. Bring your gravel and your drawl and your lilt. Bring your anger and your joy and your righteous indignation. Misfits and conformists and everyone in between, come into this space and be welcome. Bring who you are. Bring where you've traveled. Bring what you long for. Let us worship together. Good morning, and to repeat myself, welcome to everyone. My name is Jennifer Bacmeister, and I will be your worship leader this morning. If you are new to Buckman Bridge or to Unitarian Universalism, you will find that we travel many different paths to discover purpose and meaning in our lives. We unite in our belief in the worth and dignity of everyone. We believe it's our obligation to express our faith through acts of compassion and justice. We're people who actively invite intellectual and spiritual growth. Our kids ask questions and think. We practice a life-affirming faith and embrace people who are hurting or bereaved. We like to take this opportunity each Sunday morning to welcome any first-time or returning guests who are with us here today. We are so glad to have you with us, and we hope you feel welcome and will want to get to know us. Be sure to stop by our welcome table at the entryway and pick up some information about our church and our denomination. And I'm just going to say that doesn't apply to new folks either. If you need a little refresher, you can stop by. We'll tell you what we know. The folks at the table will answer your questions. They'll introduce you to somebody who may be of help. You're invited to sign in as a guest and get a name tag so that we can get to know you by name. We have name tags too. We offer regular Learn About BBUUC classes, and if you're interested in membership, our membership chair, Julie Smithers. Oh, there she is. She's in the back in a lovely teal-colored shirt this morning. She'll be happy to talk to you about the path to membership, and you can also ask anyone with a yellow sticker that says "New, Ask Me" on their name tag, and if they don't know the answer, they can help you find who does. Again, not limited to only new people. If you are ready to jump in and help out, we are always looking for volunteers. We have opportunities to help out with refreshments in the kitchen. If you are interested, there are volunteer sign-up sheets on the back table, which strangely enough is the front table as you walk in the door. We would like to invite our guests, along with the rest of the congregation, of course, to join us after the service for refreshments, fair trade coffee, and lively conversation. We are so pleased to have Timothy Edwards here with us again and his violin. Some of you may remember his last visit here. While playing a particularly fiery and energetic piece, Mother Nature chimed in and the power briefly went out. It felt like the power of his music pulled the electricity out of the lights. So whether Mother Nature joins us again today or not, it is always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Tim. If everybody would please check your order of service and join me in reciting our congregational covenant. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our call to worship. The words are printed in your order of service. It's David Dean. Each Sunday morning, we light our chalice as a symbol of our faith. And as David lights our chalice this morning on this Stonewall Uprising Anniversary Sunday, please hear these words from Barack Obama. We, the people, declare today that the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal, is the star that guides us still, just as it guided our forebears through Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall. Thank you, David. Please rise once again in body or spirit. We'll be singing our opening hymn, which is number 27, I Am That Great and Fiery Force. It is an easy tune, but not one we have done before. Eileen will play it one time through so we can all hear it, and then we'll sing all 3 verses. It's always good to stretch our singing brains just a little bit once in a while. Y'all sound fantastic. You sound better than I do, and I picked it, so there's that. Our time for all ages today will be offered by our speaker, Donna, and she has adapted this from Meditation on Leftovers by the Reverend Gordon McKeon. Donna, it's all yours.
Thank you. So when you go to the refrigerator and look inside and see things wrapped in tinfoil or in a baggie, or see something in a plastic tub, what does that tell you? Leftovers. Exactly, leftovers. I love cooking. And I like cooking with leftovers too, because it gives me the opportunity to be creative and imaginative. Ooh, what can I do with this leftover food that used to be something and turn it into something else? What spices can I add to it? What sauces can I make? Can I take a little bit of leftover pot roast and put some barbecue sauce on it and put it on a bun and make barbecue? I have changed something from what it was to something new. In fact, I used to be so good with leftovers that somebody once told me, Donna, I don't remember how we could possibly have so many leftovers when I don't remember the first timers that they came from. I don't know, a little bit of something and I can turn it into a whole bunch of something else. And that's what's so fun about leftovers. Leftovers give you all kinds of chances to use something that was there and make something new out of it. Well, now I'm going to invite you to open up a different kind of door. A door to your past. A door to your memories. And there's all kind of leftovers there too. Things you'll remember that people said or didn't say, things that maybe hurt your feelings, things that were praising you or critical of you. You got fussed at for something, or you got really praised for something that you did. You'll look at old decisions that you made that when you made them, you didn't know what the long-term consequences might be. Should I leave home or not? Do I go to college or not? Do I get married or not? There might be that job you took that you were really looking forward to, or the one that you were looking forward to that you didn't get offered. There's all kind of stuff out there in the memories of our past. Things that are leftovers that we can shove to the back of the refrigerator. We can cover them up in tinfoil. We can kind of forget about them. Have any of you ever gone to the refrigerator and opened it up and opened up a tub and looked into something and it was, oh, no, I don't want to do anything with that now, so you put it in the back? And then a week or so later, after it got way behind other things, when you opened it up again, what'd you find? Mold. It was fuzzy and maybe green because you didn't deal with it when you had the opportunity to. Leftovers will do that. I mean, there are some things that you just end up having to throw away. And you make a new meal, and then you have new leftovers. So it's a constant cycle of leftovers. Well, it's like that with our past and our memories, too. Things that were said to us, things that were done to us, things that we didn't even know that hurt us or that made us feel super good about ourselves, we just tucked away, and then we added more on top of them and more on top of them. And it gets to be that those things that you didn't even remember you had in there, whether it's your refrigerator or in your past, can affect you in ways that you can't even imagine. And it's always better to take a look at them and sort them out and decide what to do, rather than opening up that tub and going, whoa, no. Because you're going to end up having to deal with it sometime. So why not try to make something really yummy out of something that's in there, or in the case of your past and things that impacted you, take a look at it and see how you can turn it around and change it into something new. And with that, our story is told.
Each week in our church, we take up an offering. It's good to remind ourselves from time to time that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that it is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our programs and ministries, pay our staff, and finance the comfort and beauty of our buildings. And we know that we could easily submit those pledge checks to the church at any convenient time. But we pass the plate during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessings of abundance, to visibly bring in the harvest at this most cherished hour of our week. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. Even if during this ritual your offering is symbolic, please take the plate and pass it to your neighbor. Our offertory ushers will help us cross the aisles. I'll invite John Wrightington to come forward with Ted Clisby to gather our offering, at the completion of which we will rise, embody our spirit, and sing hymn number 13, Spirit of Life. So we have something completely different now for a little bit of special music. Tim, did you want to share some comments about this particular piece? Please come on over and then have at it.
Thank you. Good morning, my UU family. It's good to be back with you as always. You can see in your program that the name of this piece is enticing in and of itself, but it happens to also be timely, which I didn't expect, because we're talking so much about food, which I love. I'm sure you've been to some kind of family reunion when you are there and the food has had loving fingers dipped into it as it was being made, and you are just eating this up as well as the family, seeing the ancestors that are there with you and remembering those that have gone before and thinking about the little ones that will carry on. And you have all this food for thought, for concept, for faith, that my hope is that when you go through life, as you go through life, you will see all these wonderful things that are gifts to you, which are just amazing and eventful. And I hope that when it comes our individual times, when our story is just about to be completed, that we go ahead and we sop up every bit of life's gravy that there is to offer. And so I present this piece to you, one, on that thing, that I hope that you will carry this out and think about sopping up everything that life has to offer. But for the second thing, this is for those who always tend to ask the question, what's the difference between the violin and the fiddle? So I hope you'll think about that.
So my grandmother used to say, you know what the difference between a vase and a vase is, right? About $150. So maybe is the difference between a violin and a fiddle about $1,500? A much higher number, much higher number. Thank you, Tim. That was wonderful. Our reading today was written by Robert Walsh. He is a UUA minister who also wrote a book called Noisy Stones, a meditation manual, and it's called It Matters. I knew a man who had printed on his stationery this proverb: "Nothing is settled, everything matters." It established a certain ambiance for reading his letters, as if to say, what you are about to read is to be taken seriously, but is not final. I remember him and his proverbs sometimes, especially when it seems impossible to change the world or myself in any significant way. Sorry, Jim, I say. It's not true that nothing is settled. In the past year, choices have been made, losses have been suffered, there has been growth and decay, there have been commitments and betrayals. None of that can be undone. A year ago, no one knew whether during this year one person would become pregnant, another would get cancer, another would take a new job, and another would have an accident. But now it is settled. One day this year, I was present just when someone needed me. Another day, I was busy doing something else when I was needed. One day, I said something to a friend that injured our relationship, and on another day, I said something that enabled a person to see life in a new way. The best and the worst of those days is now written. All of my tears of joy or sorrow cannot erase it. And if I stay with my meditation long enough, the reply comes. "Robert," says Jim, "you have misunderstood the proverb. It is true that you cannot escape the consequences of your actions or the chances of the world. But what is not settled is how the story turns out. What is not settled is what the meaning of your life will be. The meaning of a life is not contained within one act or one day or 1 year. As long as you are alive, the story of your life is being told, and the meaning is still open. As long as there is life in the world, the story of the world is still being told. What is done, but nothing is settled. And if nothing is settled, then everything matters. Every choice, every act matters. Every word, every deed is making the meaning of your life and telling the story of the world. Everything matters in the year coming, and more importantly, everything matters today. Donna Zimmerman is a familiar face to BBUUC. She is one of our chaplains and serves on the worship committee. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know her in our recent sermon writing class, and I'm excited for her to share her sermon with us today. Without further ado, Donna, the pulpit is yours.
A tightrope walker extended his rope across Niagara Falls. Then he took a wheelbarrow and pushed it across the rope. The crowd that had gathered below, the normal tourists at the falls, were astonished at what he did and were clapping. And he said, "Do you believe I can do it again?" And they said, "Yes, yes." Sure enough, there he went, pushing his wheelbarrow back across Niagara Falls. Once again, he yelled out, "Do you believe I can do it again? Yes, yes." Who's going to be the first one to get in the wheelbarrow? Crickets, crickets. Clearly, there's a difference in believing I heard you say something and believing in what you said. Just like the crowd under the tightrope. They believed it because they heard it. Heck, they saw it. They knew he did it. But when given the chance to climb in the wheelbarrow, they all fell silent. Now, that's an amusing story, but it does illustrate a point. In real life, we face the same challenges ourselves every single day, in big and small ways. We know and believe the dangers of tobacco, and people still smoke or vape or chew or whatever it is you do with tobacco. We understand and believe that carrying more weight than is healthy for us has a significant consequence. And we know the food choices we make and the exercises we don't do are contributors to that unhealthy condition. We come to services on Sunday and we hear a message that we totally agree with. Or we learn a new way to think about something that opens our eyes in ways that they weren't open before. But the farther we get from the church door as we leave, the dimmer the message becomes. The busyness of life, of work, of financial concerns, the complexity of relationships, all that jumbles up and gets in our way. Each day we die 1,000 deaths at the hands of indecision, fear, inadequacy, inferiority, not necessarily because it's true or inflicted on us, but as often as not, we inflict it on ourselves. We want a better job, but we let the paralyzing fear of rejection keep us in the job where we're unhappy and unfulfilled. We want to be included in a new group of friends because maybe our life circumstances have changed through children growing up and moving out, loss of a spouse or a new residence, but we're afraid to reach out because we think, I could never fit in. We keep our mouth shut at that meeting because we're just so sure that the point we want to make is going to sound trivial, only to hear somebody else making that same point and everybody patting that person on the shoulder for saying something so astonishingly wise. We fear so badly losing the goodwill of that family member or friend that we let ourselves become a pushover for any request they make, no matter the emotional or financial toll it takes on us. So how did we get here? And more importantly, how do we get out of it? Well, however we got here is individual to the person. We all grew up getting messages from others and giving messages to ourselves. We attach meanings to those messages, and then the things we see that happen to us, we filter through the meanings that we have attached. We categorize subsequent things that happened according to those messages and the meanings that we give them. Let me give you an example. When I was in kindergarten, we went to school just half a day for the entire school year. And then we took the school bus home at midday. When I went to first grade, it was going to be a full day for the year, as regular school is. But they let us in the first grade go for half a day just to ease us back into being back in school and getting in the habit again. Now, I'm sure it was explained very thoroughly to me and to the whole class what was happening. But on that first day that we had to go a full day, I was the only one that just automatically went back to the school bus. And the bus driver said, No, Donna, you're not in kindergarten anymore. Go on back to your room. I honestly don't know if the other kids laughed at me or called me names. All I know is that I called myself names over and over again. Stupid. I'm so stupid. How could I have done that? I was embarrassed beyond words. So at the tender age of 6, the early lesson I learned was how humiliating it was to make a mistake that others could laugh about or make fun of. Now, another child could have easily laughed it off and dealt with it differently. Sure, but for whatever reason, that was the path I took. And now I had fixed the frame by which to interpret making a mistake. For one thing, you will never, ever, ever hear me use the word stupid. Unless it's to myself in my own head. It's not a vocabulary word I use, ever. But also, what are the other consequences of having that frame of meaning? Well, it could lead me to become a perfectionist, to avoid challenges because you can't do something perfectly that you haven't done before, or try to rationalize away mistakes, engage in negative self-talk, take criticism to heart, and berate myself for not seeing how I should have known to do it a better way, and I needed to have somebody tell me. Think of all the ways that could impact your work, success, your life, just everything. And that's just one example that a 6-year-old got, and the meaning I gave it to set the frame for receiving other messages. Now we all have them, sort of like those leftovers that we talked about earlier. We all have them. Does that mean we're stuck? Was 6-year-old me doomed to carry that mindset for the rest of my life? Are any of us doomed by these early and even later lessons that we get along all during our life? And then we spend time reinforcing as other unpleasant, embarrassing, or fear-inducing situations occur in our lives. No, not at all. However, until we have the self-awareness to see we are standing in our own way, to believe in ourselves and in what we can do, we will continue to hold ourselves back. Like that little 6-year-old who just wanted the ground to open up and swallow her whole. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we as UUs, we can start by taking to heart the principles. Excuse me. Those principles are at the core of everything that we do and that we believe in. Yes, we believe the words. They are written. We see them. They're in our order of service. They're in just about everything. You see them as you come in the front door. But do we believe in them and that they apply to us too? Ooh, that can be a toughie. Take, for example, the first principle. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The operative word there, every. I'm included in that too. I have inherent worth and dignity. Do I always treat myself as though I do? I will tell you the truth, I would never in a million years treat another person the way I sometimes treat myself. And if I really believe that first principle applies to me, there's a big disconnect there, isn't it? The 7th principle also applies to me because I am part of that interdependent web of existence that I should respect. If I hold myself back, if I don't challenge myself beyond my own comfort zone because I fear failure, if I minimize my contribution to a project or anything, if I downplay my success because I don't want to set the bar too high for the next time I attempt something, Am I truly respecting myself and bringing my best self to that interdependent web? I don't think so. It's referred to as an interdependent web for a reason. What happens over here vibrates over there, and that impacts the others who are not getting the best me that they could be getting. Even when we practice self-awareness, work towards being non-judgmental of ourselves, learn to feel the fear and do it anyway, we aren't likely going to completely free ourselves from falling prey, at least initially, to whatever our innermost and ingrained fears are. However, just as long as we step away from being that 6-year-old who made a mistake and was laughed at, and function at the higher level that we are capable of, we can break that cycle this time. And then the next. And then the next after that. Getting out of it faster and getting through it adds up to help us learn to be resilient and confident. What can it mean? It means that you can apply for another job, and even if you don't get it, you can be proud that you had the courage to try, and you had practice for the interviews to set you up for an even better interview the next time. It means that even though your life circumstances have changed, you can reach out to a new group of people because you know you are a worthwhile person who can bring value to that book club or that lunch group from church or whatever it is you're interested in. It means that you can add input at that meeting, even if you start by saying, "I'll second that motion." You have broken the ice by adding your voice, and you will gradually get more comfortable with having a seat at the table. One time here in Jacksonville, due to my position as executive director at Lutheran Social Services, I had an automatic seat on the board of the Jacksonville Housing Partnership. Now, that met at the top of what was then the Independent Life Building, really high up there. And everybody else on the board were presidents of banks and CEOs of corporations. I mean, when I was there, I'm pretty sure they probably thought about me as a secretary. And I literally forced myself. If a motion was made, I would say, "I second that motion," just to be able to have a seat at the table. And I promise you, when I walked into that corporate conference room at the top of the Independent Life Building, I refrained from walking over to the window and going, "Oh my God, can you believe that view? Look at it, you can see everywhere from here." I mean, country come to town, really. It means that you can decline a request from a friend or family member to do something for them that would really be a hardship on you. And you know what? The earth will not spin off its axis because you did. You have respected yourself, and you have actually respected them because you stopped for once being an enabler for them, and you are teaching them to respect you. There's an old saying that we teach others how to treat us. When you live long enough in life, you have regrets. The ones that eat you up are the ones where you knew you had a choice. Ones where you stopped yourself from looking in the mirror and everything good inside of you said, "Don't do this," and you did it anyway. Or you held yourself back from something because it was new or different and unfamiliar, and you turned your head and the other way and didn't do it or raise your hand to volunteer. I would have held myself back from an amazing experience going ziplining in Alaska about 10 years ago. First of all, I clearly didn't exactly know what a zip line was when I signed us up for it. Somehow I thought you were on like that thing that takes you up to the ski slopes. I mean, I seriously did. And when we got up there and they were having us go through, latching up to the zip line, and I'm going, where's the seat? Where's the seat? And, basically, you are the seat, Donna. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. But I did it, and we had 7 platforms to go to, 7 runs, if you will. And off of the first one, I went first. I mean, looking down, it was the most exhilarating, wonderful thing, and I never, ever would have had that experience had I let my righteous fear keep me from doing it. But I did it. None of us, not a one, can go back and change the past, but we are also not condemned to live in it forever, unless that's a choice we make for ourselves. The past should be a reference library and not a living room. And it is never too late to make that change. When I did that zipline thing, I was in my mid-60s. So let me tell you, it's never too late to make that change. Do you believe it in principle? Or do you believe in it, in your bones? Because you know it applies to you too. It is not an insurmountable hill to climb unless you choose to make it so. You are not going to walk in a 4K event tomorrow because you decided to start exercising today. You're not going to lose 3 pounds tomorrow because you had a healthy salad for lunch today. You are not going to volunteer for everything that comes your way at work, at church, at your children's school, everything because you decided to put your voice in and do something. But you can take those first steps and begin new patterns. Give yourself new messages. You will find that it begins to have a payoff. As you start seeing yourself in a new light, you become aware of being proud of yourself. You see changes in yourself. You have more confidence. As the steps start adding up, the pride, the confidence makes it easier to go a bit farther. It also makes it easier to deal with being less than perfect, with making a mistake and not letting it derail you. Might you be embarrassed because your words got jumbled up? You said the wrong thing? Heavens, you all have heard me do that up here from the pulpit on a Sunday morning, and I'm still here. But the first time that you handle it with humor and grace, it gets easier. Or that you decided to sleep in this morning instead of going to your 7 a.m. workout group session doesn't mean that you're going to stop exercising completely. Give yourself a break. It's really okay. Or that you had a different take on that chapter that your book club is reading, and you voiced it. And others were nodding their heads in appreciation at that new way of looking at it. Your heart might have been racing when you opened your mouth, but you are now sitting a little bit taller than you were before. Can you just imagine the changes you can experience? Oh, not just getting healthier or leading that successful project at work or making new friends or any of a dozen other really great things you can experience. Imagine the messages you are giving yourself and giving your children and those around you. You know, the people around us don't learn from what we say. They learn from what we do. And they can pick up the incongruencies between those two things immediately. You know, that whole interdependent web thing. So I will leave you with a suggested spiritual practice that you can try out this week. When you are faced with a choice, instead of taking comfort in the seeming comfort of continuing familiar behavior that keeps you stuck, step out of your comfort zone just a little bit. One small change. Go ahead, climb in that wheelbarrow, and allow yourself to show yourself that you believe in you, in your worth and dignity. I promise you, it will be an amazing ride. Go for it and enjoy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Donna. If you would please turn to number 6 in your hymnal, just as long as I have breath, and rise in body or spirit. We will do all 3 verses, at the end of which please remain standing for the benediction and the extinguishing of the chalice. Excuse me. Our closing words were written by James Morrison. Within each of our hearts, there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world. This concludes our service. Amen. Blessed be, and go now in peace.